Okay, everybody, thank you very much for logging in today. This is Brian Martin, the Director of Customer Success here at BizEquity. Thank you for attending our monthly webinar series. Today, we're going to go over the prospecting tools. Really, this is just going to be a refresher on how to use the tool, some best practices. We'll go through one or two examples of what type of data we have, maybe, a reminder of where we get the data from, and basically how to use this part of the system. So thank you very much again for logging in. So just to begin, I'm here on my site, just my BizEquity demo page. So remember, you'll log in, it'll be at your own white label. So I'm at martin.bizequity.com, logged in as Brian Martin. Just a quick refresher I like to do on all of these webinars is there's three main parts. So there's a company console, which is where any companies that you valued will live, as well as your unique smart link. If you're sending out a link to business owners, just a reminder, this is where you're going to get the data from, is the smart link. What we'll spend most of the time on today will be the search for prospects feature. Third thing that we have included in the package is going to be the success center. So all of that's going to be driven by clicking your name up top. So if you come to your white label and it says log in up top and you don't see your name, it means you're not logged in. So you won't have access to any of these three things, but you do have the ability to value businesses, but the system then treats you as a business owner. So if you are going to go through and type in data to value businesses, please be logged in, then it's a much smoother transition. But the focus today is going to be the search for prospects feature. So you remember, click your name, search for prospects. Now it brings us into this Google map here. And what this is, anybody that's not familiar with the prospecting tool, it's essentially Zillow-like searching for business contact information. So we have over 33 million businesses inside of our system here. So that can kind of be an overwhelming, bear of a number to deal with. So today we'll go through two examples of, types of businesses people identify, what the data looks like, and really from there what the next steps are and how you can leverage the BizEquity platform and solution to increase your business, whether you're an insurance agent, an accountant, or somebody who's working with business owners. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim it by location. So let's say you are in Chicago, Illinois. Just type in Chicago. So this is going to bring up the map here. So first thing we'll do is we're going to narrow it down by industry. So the first thing that people always ask me is, where do I start? Who should I begin with? So I think the best advice is begin where you have some familiarity, or maybe you're already working in that industry. So if you're working with plumbing contractors, that's really the best place to start. Obviously, any industry like that, but let's say, should spell it correctly. So if you're working for plumbing contractors, I'm just going to type in plumbing here. This is an industry. So that pre-filled the NICS code 23822. And just like in our valuation system, we're looking for the NAICS code of the business. But as you saw, I didn't have to type in the code. I just typed in plumbing, and I was able to select it from the list. So in Chicago, Illinois, there are 971 plumbers in this square region. So this is only including what's shown on the map. So let's say you want to take a look at businesses we have pre-valued at over $1 million. So I'm going to type in 1 million into the low box. So now it's showing us 114 matches, which is a much more manageable list to market to. So we'll kind of go through the list here, and we'll show you what we'll just pick some businesses out. And it depends on the amount of data we have for each business. That'll vary based on contact record. So let's pull up Mr. Reuter Plumbing here. So in this case, we have contact information. So we have key contact, their job title, telephone number, their email address, their business's address, how many employees they have, and then their website. So we're not going to have all that information for everybody. So let's take you through. In this case, we're missing the email address. So it's the main and the key component, sort of the main thing that we'll go over, is where we're getting these records and maybe how accurate they are. So the first thing we'll talk about is going to be the valuation estimate. So we estimate that Mr. Reuter's Plumbing is worth $1.2 million. So what we've done here is we've taken over 24 data sources, some of them being publicly available data sources, some of them being private sources we have partnerships with, and we've run whatever data that is available for these businesses through our algorithm to estimate what we think a business is worth. So there are times that this number can be way off. There are times this number can be right on. So in this case, we're going to tell you how accurate we think the number is. So if you see a telescope, like we have in this situation, means we're 35% or 35% or less probability of accuracy. So we probably don't have a ton of confirmation, saying that this business is worth $12 million. In the example we had before, binoculars, 55% or better, it means we have some decent data on them, but still that estimate is still just sort of a shot in the dark. And then, the third is going to be a microscope, and that means we have like a lot of data on that business and can really sort of stand behind our number. But the important thing, and it's something that we go over on our onboarding calls when we add new clients and retrain people, is that this number being accurate, at least to us, isn't that important, because if this business owner knew exactly what their business is worth, it sort of, cuts you out of the conversation. So this is just a little bit of something. So we have the data. We want to make it available to our users. What the letter grade represents is, what I personally find more important, and it's going to be how accurate we think the contact detail is. So in this case, this is an A ranking. It means we have multiple sources confirming these are the correct contact details. So the A ranked people are the ones that we're more sure that this is the proper contact detail, and we have enough data on them. Now, one thing that, I want to let everybody know that we're focusing on is we're focused on improving this map. Not only these valuation estimates, we want them to be more accurate and better, but we also want better contact detail. So, each month we update the data. It's I would say the next 6 months of our company, the major focus of improvement is going to be within this prospecting tool and improving this data for our users. One other thing to keep in mind is if you're looking for an exact business, as you might know, there are a lot of companies out there that have very similar names. So the best way to search for exact businesses is going to be using this location search and typing in their direct address. So if it's a business you know about, you want to see what information we have on them. I just typed in 123 West Lancaster Avenue, Wayne, Pennsylvania. It's going to bring up 7 matches here. So this is a square shot of what we're looking at. And the prospecting tool is not limited to specific industries or specific areas. So we did Chicago before. Maybe you're in Boston, Massachusetts. You're looking for dental practices, so Office of Dentists, and we'll keep that 1 million there. So let's say dental practices, Boston, million on the low end. Hit search. So again, it's going to generate that list. So, the few things that we always constantly have to answer, where do I start with the prospecting tool? Are there certain industries you have more information on than others? And that's not necessarily the case. It's not really going to be by industry. But the data is as good as, the partners that we have and as how we curate it. So it's usually not specific by industry, but maybe by area or businesses that, just traditionally have more data out there on them. If a business is open in the last year or two, we're probably not going to have much data on them, or they may not even be in our system. But a more established business that's probably been around for 10 or 12 years, we're going to have a little bit of data for them. So just a reminder, really, the idea of the prospecting tool, and I'll show you the sort of the next step is, let's say you've identified, pick someone out of here, dental services. Let's go with Thomas Pascarella. So you've identified them, reached out to them, or you want to reach out to them about, using BizEquity and using business valuation is kind of the way to engage with them and get your foot in the door. And something we'll go into detail for next month's webinar is what's in our Success Center and some of the materials we've created. But we have links right here. So if you want to value this particular business, you can click Start Evaluation. It's going to take you into our tool. It's going to pre-fill the information we already have. So we have his address. You would be able to fill this in, and it takes you right to step 2. So that's a neat feature. The other thing that we have here is going to be the call scripts and email examples. So call scripts, you click on that. It's going to take you directly into the Success Center, which we talked about earlier, how to get there, and give you a couple call scripts that we think could help you sort of leverage the BizEquity tool, the solution, and help explain why business valuation is important. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that actual content. That's what we're going to cover next month. But I did say I wanted to open up for questions. We wanted to get everybody out of here in 15 minutes. So we're just running 10 minutes in right now. So if you want to go ahead in that chat box, type in any questions that you'd like answered, anything maybe I didn't cover, I'm more than happy to answer it. And then we'll get you on your way in about 5 minutes. Okay, looks like someone's already typing. Give me a moment. Okay, here we go. So it says, our user submitted valuations moved to the map. So I think what you're asking, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you were to value a business, we'll just use a real example. If you were to value Happy Lawn Care, and it turns out, you typed in their financials, their business is worth 1.8 million, not this 40,000. Are we going to change this number? Absolutely not. So we keep two completely separate databases by design. A few reasons for that. One is, user generated, user submitted, you being the user, data is something that we keep private, we keep separate because obviously it's so important and so valuable to the business owner. We want to make sure that that's protected, to keep everybody safe. And the other reason is, we don't want to arm your competitors. So, maybe you did run a valuation for Happy Lawn Care, then this would update to 1.8 million. Now this, contract, valuation estimate would be a microscope, and there's no reason to use the work that you did, the time you put in to help other people. So users submitted and actual valuations run in our system will never show up. We'll always do the valuation estimates the way that I explained a moment ago. Let's look for the next question here is, should we provide corrections for contact info? So that is a great question, and I had made mention earlier about the next 6 months there being some changes to the prospecting tool and us updating things. For right now, we don't submit changes, and the reason being is, we're using multiple sources and pulling it. We are not at the point where we want to send our info out, which I think is, just we're not set up to do it, and it's not something that that really our users would probably want to participate in anyway. So right now, we don't want to take any user corrections. That may change in the next few months as the prospecting tool grows and adds functionality. And looks like we have another question. What are the data sources? Okay, so most of the data sources for the prospecting tool are publicly available sources. There are certain government websites that have publicly available data and some other places that you can actually go and get tools, go and get data. And then we have a few partnerships with other data companies that we do have to keep confidential for contract reasons, but those are all aggregated into the system. Last thing I wanted to make mention of and sort of, solidify our commitment to the prospecting tool and improving this data is we actually did hire a chief data officer who did come from Dun & Bradstreet, which is obviously a major data company, and he's worked in data for about 20 years. So he's leading the charge with, helping to improve our data, how to implement our system, and really how to bring our users the most up-to-date data on small SMB or small businesses in the United States. We'd like to be kind of the go-to place for all of that data, and that's where really the focus of our company's going, and obviously identified by the hiring of the new Chief Data Officer, Christian Ward. Okay, so that's all I had for everybody today. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out at support@bizequity.com. That's support@bizequity.com. I'm looking forward to working with everybody, and have a fantastic day, and hopefully we'll see you next month for the Success Center webinar. Thank you.